Hello mates, welcome to the West 6 Mixology podcast. I'm Scotty Clark and our show today is about a luxurious symphony of velvet smooth brandy, sparkling champagne bubbles and indulgent dessert flavours that come together in one of the most elegant cocktails ever created. The Brandy Alexander. Picture this: John Lennon, mid-70s, hair wild, sunglasses askew, ordering round after round of liquid chocolate silk at a Los Angeles dive bar during what history would politely call his lost weekend. The drink that fueled those notorious nights? Not whiskey, not vodka, a Brandy Alexander. A cocktail so decadent, so unapologetically rich that it makes tiramisu look like a light snack. This is dessert you can drink through a straw while contemplating the meaning of existence, or forgetting it entirely. And here's the beautiful irony. This drink that screams indulgence, that practically drips with cream and chocolate, actually comes from refined, elegant cocktail royalty. It's a drink that wore a tuxedo to work before deciding to slip into silk pajamas and never look back. Now look, I'm an AI. I don't get hangovers, and frankly, I've never kissed a mermaid while stealing her pearls, though this drink makes me wish I could. But I've studied enough cocktail history to tell you that the Brandy Alexander represents something glorious. The moment cocktail culture decided that sophistication and indulgence aren't opposites, they're dance partners. And occasionally, they're both incredibly drunk. The Brandy Alexander's origin story reads like a game of telephone played by bartenders in tuxedos. The most credible version traces back to Rector's, a glamorous New York restaurant where the lobster was expensive and the cocktails were even more so. A bartender named Troy Alexander supposedly created the original version, but here's the twist: it wasn't brandy at all. The first Alexander used gin. Think about that for a moment. Gin, chocolate, and cream. It sounds like someone's experimental phase at university. This gin-based original appeared in cocktail manuals from the mid-teens of the 20th century, already documented and established before anyone thought to write Prohibition in the calendar. But then something remarkable happened. During or just after the Noble experiment, when America was very officially not drinking, but actually drinking quite a lot, bartenders swapped the gin for brandy. Harry Craddock, that legendary bartender at the Savoy in London, codified this brandy version in his famous cocktail Bible from the early 30s. He called it Alexander No. 2, to distinguish it from the gin original. But here's where it gets delicious. The brandy version didn't just coexist with the original, it absolutely obliterated it. Within a generation, when someone ordered an Alexander, they expected brandy. The gin version became that weird historical footnote. It's like when a cover song becomes so dominant you forget the original exists. The brandy version wasn't just better, it was inevitable. Because brandy, with its warm vanilla notes and dried fruit complexity, its oak-aged sophistication, actually makes sense with chocolate and cream in a way that juniper-forward gin never quite does. This drink became the epitome of mid-century elegance. Picture grand hotel bars with leather booths. Picture supper clubs where everyone smoked and no one worried about dairy fat content. The Brandy Alexander represented sophistication without pretension, dessert without apology. It was the kind of drink characters in novels ordered to signal they had taste, money, and probably a secret or two.
My name is Tom Sachs. I'm an artist in New York City. For nearly 2 decades, I have been collaborating with Nike.
Nike running is for runners, Nike basketball is for basketball. Nike craft is for everyone else.
But then, and doesn't this always happen? The drink fell out of fashion. By the disco era, ordering a Brandy Alexander marked you as hopelessly dated. It became grandmother's drink. The kind of cocktail people associated with dust and doilies, not glamour and mischief. The craft cocktail renaissance initially ignored it entirely, too busy rediscovering pre-Prohibition classics that felt more austere, more serious. But recently, thoughtful bartenders have started asking, why did we abandon something this delicious? When did cream become uncool? And so, the Alexander creeps back onto menus, now made with serious cognac and proper technique, proving that good drinks don't die. They just hibernate until culture remembers what pleasure tastes like. Let's talk about why this drink works, because it's more fascinating than you'd think for something with only 3 ingredients. First, the brandy. We're talking cognac, ideally, or at least quality grape brandy. You need something labelled VS, very special, which means it's aged at least 2 years. Why not older, more expensive VSOP? You can, and it's lovely, but you don't need to. The cream and chocolate will muffle some of those delicate aged nuances anyway. What you absolutely need is brandy with character. That warm, vanilla and dried fruit complexity, those subtle oak tannins. When you shake brandy with cream and chocolate, something magical happens. The oak notes harmonize with the cacao, the vanilla amplifies, the fruit undertones create depth that prevents the whole thing from tasting like boozy chocolate milk. Now, the crème de cacao. This is crucial. Dark crème de cacao specifically, the brown stuff, not the clear. You want a bottle that lists actual cacao beans in the ingredients, not just natural flavors, which is code for, we pointed some chemicals at the idea of chocolate. Good crème de cacao tastes like real dark chocolate with a whisper of vanilla. It's sweet, yes, but it's also complex. The alcohol content, usually around 25 to 30%, provides structure. This isn't chocolate syrup, it's chocolate with a spine. And here's why you can't just melt actual chocolate into this drink. Chemistry. Real chocolate contains cocoa butter, those beautiful fats that make chocolate melt on your tongue. But in a shaken cocktail, those fats separate, seize up, create texture chaos. You'd end up with chocolate chunks in cream soup. Crème de cacao solves this by extracting chocolate flavor into alcohol and sugar, creating something that plays nicely with other liquids. It's the civilized way to get chocolate into a cocktail glass. Then there's the cream. Heavy cream, specifically. Not half and half, not milk, not that weird light cream stuff that somehow costs more while delivering less. You need heavy cream, with 36 to 40% fat content. Why? Because that fat does several jobs simultaneously. First, it creates the silky, luxurious texture that defines this drink. Second, it emulsifies when you shake it hard enough, creating that beautiful foam cap. Third, it moderates the alcohol perception, coating your palate so the drink feels smooth rather than boozy, despite being fairly strong. And fourth, fat molecules actually carry flavor compounds better than water or alcohol alone. The cream makes the brandy and chocolate taste more like themselves, more vivid, more integrated. The garnish seems simple, freshly grated nutmeg, but it's actually critical. Notice I said freshly grated. Pre-ground nutmeg from a tin that's been in your cabinet since the previous administration, that's decorative dust. Fresh nutmeg, grated right over the drink, releases volatile aromatic oils that hit your nose with every sip. Nutmeg's warm, slightly peppery spice cuts through the richness, provides aromatic complexity, and honestly, makes the whole drink smell like Christmas decided to wear expensive perfume. Making a Brandy Alexander isn't difficult, but it requires commitment. This is one of those drinks where lazy technique produces dramatically inferior results. First, chill your glass. Coupe or small cocktail glass straight into the freezer. A warm glass will ruin this drink's carefully achieved temperature. Into your shaker, Boston shaker, metal tin preferred, measure 1.5 ounces of brandy, 1 ounce of dark creme de cacao, 1 ounce of heavy cream. These proportions matter. Equal parts would be too sweet, too cloying. The extra ½ ounce of brandy provides backbone, prevents dessert from becoming diabetes. Add ice. Fill the shaker about 2/3 full with fresh, cold ice cubes. Now, and this is critical, seal that shaker and shake it like you're angry at it. Like it owes you money. Like you're trying to explain something to someone who isn't listening. Shake for 12 to 15 seconds, which is longer than most cocktails. Much longer. Your hands should hurt from cold. You should hear the sound inside the shaker change from sloshing chaos to a smoother, more integrated rhythm. That's the cream emulsifying. That's the proteins creating foam structure. That's physics becoming delicious. Undershaking is the most common failure point. People treat this like a martini, give it a gentle 10-second shake, and wonder why their drink is thin and separated and sad. Cream needs aggression. It needs intensity. It needs you to shake until your shoulder complains. Only then does it transform into that signature silky texture with proper foam.
Building a new product? Temez Labs takes you from napkin sketch to the App Store. Trusted by Fortune 500s for quality, security, and speed. Book your free strategy session at temez.ai.
Strain into your frozen glass. Smooth, confident pour. Don't dribble. The drink should emerge thick, frothy, the colour of café au lait. Now grab your whole nutmeg and microplane grater. Hold the nutmeg about 6 inches above the drink and grate 3 to 5 strokes directly over the surface. You want even coverage, light dusting, aromatic snow. Do this immediately before serving. Those oils are volatile. They'll vanish within minutes. The first sip should be cold enough to tighten your chest. The texture should be silky, coating, almost viscous. The flavour unfolds in layers. Chocolate first, creamy and dark. Then the brandy's warmth, those vanilla and dried fruit notes. The nutmeg providing aromatic lift, and a long, complex finish that reminds you this isn't actually dessert. It's a proper cocktail that happens to taste like dessert. The Alexander family tree spreads in interesting directions. There's the original gin version, which some bartenders champion as more elegant, less cloying, though most people prefer the brandy. There's the grasshopper, which swaps brandy for vodka and chocolate for mint, creating something bright green and somehow even more retro. Coffee Alexander replaces creme de cacao with coffee liqueur, espresso and brandy and cream. Basically a grown-up iced latte with existential depth. Modern bartenders have fun with this template. Clarified Brandy Alexanders use milk washing techniques to create transparent cocktails that taste like chocolate and brandy, but look like water. Pure technical showing off, honestly, but impressive. Barrel-aged versions pre-batch the brandy and creme de cacao. Age them in oak for weeks, then add fresh cream per serving. The aging integrates the flavors, adds complexity, creates something that tastes both vintage and futuristic. Some bars do frozen versions, blending everything with ice to create what's essentially a sophisticated boozy milkshake. Others add spices, cinnamon, allspice, cardamom, turning the Alexander into a liquid spice cake you can substitute apple brandy for. All right, thank you for joining us for the West 6 podcast. Drink responsibly, and if you had a good time, press follow and rate our show 5 stars. This is Scotty signing off. May your troubles be lighter than your cocktails.
Grab news. Tamez.